what we got a show for you or what? It is all to do with who was the best ever Man United striker. You've got two, or you've got choice of one. I mean, ideally, I would say you pick. I'm going to first go through everything, go through what formation I'm going to play, and then pick the team to that formation. I'm going to just be doing strikers today because this show is all about strikers and there's lots to discuss, and it's a never-ending debate. I mean, if you've ever sat down with your friends and discussed who you would have as your best ever United 11, the list goes on and the discussions go on, and there's lots of discussions about who brought what to the table, who was better technically, who scored the most goals. There's so much different criteria that you can apply and pick your players, but I thought, why not? It's the international break. We've got a break, and we're not watching United, and we're not discussing United in any game that we've just recently had. But we can just sit down, chill out, have a cup of tea, relax, and enjoy a discussion, a debate as such, amongst ourselves, amongst us fans, about who is the best United pairing. I mean, they don't have to be from the same era, by the way. Okay, so I've gone with two players who are completely different in age. They played in different eras for United, but they are, in my opinion, a deadly strike force. But anyway, before I kick off today's show, everything's down. Everything is down. Twitter's down. I don't know what's happened, but before I came online, and that's why I was a couple of minutes late, and that's because this major outage with all these software. I don't know what's going on. Twitter's down. Lots of other platforms are down. All panic. You know, I was actually imagining this the other day. I was thinking to myself, what would happen if there was no internet for the day? I mean, the thought itself just bewilders me. I just start panicking, thinking, right now, everything that we do runs off the internet. Everything from literally getting up in the morning, checking your phone, to even like using things around the house now depend on the internet. Can you imagine if we suddenly had no internet? It's a scary thought. But yes, just because there's a few sites down, I mean, it caused complete havoc for me. All my data, everything that's been saved, everything, all my script, in fact, has gone out the window. Twitter breaking down for a day would send Fabrizio Romano into a psychic ward. Yeah, I mean, it would send lots of them absolutely berserk. I mean, I don't rely on Twitter as much. I kind of go on there here and there, just to check the news. And that's it, really. Any breaking news, obviously, like the likes of Fabrizio Romano and things like that, you follow United and things like that. But I don't rely on Twitter as my main source of the day or my main entertainment. I must admit, YouTube's quite important to me. I do watch quite a lot of YouTube channels and videos, not just to do with football, but just generally anything. It could be from far-ranging things like, random stuff, silly stuff, to anything. I'd watch. I don't watch normal TV anymore. Let me know if you guys do, because I can't remember the last time I watched live normal TV from, the terrestrial TV channels. You might have different ones, if you're not in the UK. But I can't remember watching normal TV. It's either a streaming service of some kind, or just online. Just go onto YouTube and watch something to pass my time. I very rarely sit down and watch a movie, but when I do, it's off like, I don't know, Prime or something, Amazon Prime or Netflix or something. And I think that's generally the way the world's moving. Everyone's watching stuff by streaming, and I don't know how these channels are going to survive. I don't know who bloody watches them. Firstly, I mean, I think there are people who watch them. But anyway, I'm going off topic here. You're probably hitting on the thumbnail and thinking, what the hell's he on about? What's he talking about channels for and TV and stuff when we're discussing serious stuff here? We're talking about strikers and Man United's greatest ever. Neville says, same here, deleted Twitter years ago. It's mainly just people arguing and screaming into the void of the internet. YouTube has channels like this. Watch, I actually enjoy. Yeah, man. Look, Neville, I agree. Do you know what? There's some crazy people on Twitter. I mean, they're absolutely berserk. There's some people on there who you just think, God, like, I don't know whether they're just bots or what, but they come out with so much rubbish. I mean, it's a scary place, Twitter. I mean, it is dark. It's a dark place. Whereas I guess with YouTube, you've got, at least you can speak to people. It's normal. You get normal folk on here. Whereas the Twitter is just full of like complete head losses. I mean, I don't want to go in any detail, but it's just crazy. And I do try and spend at least time. I actually just follow the people I follow, and that's it. I don't go into anybody else. I don't really kind of get into any debates. I don't message anyone, because I just feel like, you're just going to get into this like complete, like, you're arguing against someone you don't bloody know. It could be someone just winding you up kind of thing, yeah? So anyway, yes, Twitter's down. Twitter is down, by the way. So you're gonna. There's gonna be a 9-9 call coming from Fabrizio Romano's house or flat anytime if he's in the UK or wherever he is. I mean, there's some people who live on Twitter. I mean, they don't do anything but that. And I don't know how they do it. But anyway, coming back to football, I mean, I can go on, but I think I can go on about Twitter and social media and everything that's going around and how everything works. But there's some benefits in it as well. I'm not going to say, I mean, you get your breaking news immediately. Things like that are brilliant. But there's a lot of people on there who are just complete, loony bins, completely out to just wind people up and just, take the mick. But anyway, coming back to the debate. Now, this has been a long time coming. I've been planning this for weeks, and I've been working on it for bloody weeks, and it's still not finished. And the reason why it's still not finished is because I can't make my mind up. And I've chopped and changed this list so many times. So many times have I brought in... There's actually a lie. There's a number one striker that I've picked from day one, and he's been there. He's been at that number one slot, and he hasn't changed. But the number two slot has changed so much. And there's been 4 players that have come in and out of that position. The number 2, top 2 strikers. But I'm going to go through mine, and then I want you guys to join in and let me know yours, or just go along and agree, disagree, and discuss the players that I've got in my top 5. I'll do it. Let's do top 5. Let's do top 5 because I want to go through the players that you guys might have considered. Also, you might have them in your top 2. So I'm going to be playing a 4-4-2 formation. So today we're going to go through the strikers. Tomorrow I'm going to go through the midfielders, which again is almost impossible. The list of top United players in the midfield. I mean, how do I not play certain players? It's like embarrassment of riches. The top midfielders that have graced the shirt of United. Oh God, man! Seriously, that's a whole another show as well, obviously, because I've had to split these up into shows. Because first I was thinking, right, I'll just do one show, and then I realised that that's going to be like a 5-hour-long show discussing everything because I can't make my mind up with who I would play in the team. The defence and the goalkeeper situation, I think is fairly clear. You've only got a couple of goalkeepers to choose from as United's greatest ever. The defence somewhat is easy, I'd say. Again, it's arguable, but I think it's slightly easy. Midfield and strike is where the problems lie. United have had so much good strikers in the past. Of course, in the recent years, we've had complete garbage. No one really coming to the likes of the players that we've discussed. Let's hear it, Travis, mate. It was easy picking good forwards, but thinking about the pairing puts a whole spin on it. And yeah, the midfield one is the most exciting. Plethora of choices. Do you know what? It's midfield is a can of worms. I opened it up and I was like, shit, this is just I'm gonna be sat here for hours working out the stats of each player and going through it. But anyway, the criteria I've chosen is not down to just simply stats alone. Okay, so it's not just because if it was going to be stats alone and how many minutes they've played and goals they've scored, it's fairly easy. But it wasn't just about that. For me, it was about charisma. It's about what they brought to the team, what they were like as a player, whether they were exciting, whether they got people off their seats. and everything like that has gone into it. So I've put some thought into it. It's just not simply, I've not just plucked these names out of the hat and thought, right, okay, top 5 and this is it. So for me, the number 5 position has to go down to, I've picked Ruud van Nistelrooy. So he played for United from 2001 to I think 2006. Let me just check. 2006, I think he played up to. Yeah, he did. He played up to 2006. So that's Ruud van Nistelrooy. And now I'm going to be honest with you. He was in my top 2. He was immediately when I first sat down and started looking through them. He was my second striker as the greatest ever. Then I deliberated on it. I looked at Ruud van Nistelrooy. I thought, did he excite me? Did he really get me off my seat? When I was watching him, was he like this? The guy whose t-shirt, the name I wanted on the back of my shirt? And I'm going to be honest with you, it wasn't. It wasn't someone I thought about. Oh, Ruud van Nistelrooy. And still till this day, do I think he was a top striker, prolific? Absolutely. The amount of goals he scored, what he did was brilliant. Let me just actually outline his stats. So let me also remind you what he looked like, because you might have forgotten. Ruud van Nistelrooy, guys. If you didn't know, you know now. Ruud van Nistelrooy. Yes, kids. The guy who managed United for a short while. He was our out-and-out crazy striker, an amazing striker. Ruud van Nistelrooy was my original first choice place in a toss with Rooney, but I reckon it's because he was the most prolific when I was a kid. Yeah, I agree with you, Neville. He was so good. In fact, if you just going on goal scoring and minutes played, this guy comes up tops. This guy comes up as the number 1 goal scorer for United if we're just basing our leaderboard on minutes played and goals scored. He scored 150 goals in 219 games. One of the most clinical finishers in world football. And I knew this, that there'd be many people who'd say this guy's in the top 2 because of that, simply because he was a goal scoring machine. And like I say, he was in there in my top 2. He was my top 2, and he sat there for about a couple of days, and then I deliberated. I thought about it, and I thought, oh, maybe not. Maybe is he an exciting player? And then that's the only. And then what he achieved at United, and that's the only reason why I thought, right, okay, do you know what? I'm gonna shift him down to lower down, and then he moved down to 3rd, and then 4th, and then he came down finally to 5th. Always could rely on him. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Now, I'm going to admit something else. So then the next two players in 4th and 3rd position, I didn't watch. I've never watched them live, or I've seen footage of them, but so you can probably guess who they are already. The other player, again, this guy was up in my top 2. He was my top 2, and he was sat there till yesterday. And then I've moved him down to 4th position. And again, it's crazy to say this. It was enjoyable as well. It gave me something to do whilst there's no there's no football, and it's all international football going on. I'd just sit there with the football on in the background, but I'll sit there and watch footage of these players and read up about them. And I must admit, I didn't actually know much about this guy until I kind of sat down and watched a bit more about him and read a bit more about him. And it was Denis Law comes in top 4 for me. So he's my 4th top striker. Again, someone who was prolific, scored 237 goals in 404 games, a Ballon d'Or winner. I think he's the first Scottish Ballon d'Or and only Scottish player to ever win the Ballon d'Or. He's a club icon, and he like I said, was up there. He was up there and the more I've read and the more I've watched this guy, what a player. I mean, what a sensational player. Just crazy. I mean, the things that the problem we've got is the other player I've got, and this Denis Law, and by the way, he's part of the Holy Trinity as well. The Trinity, the 3 top players that you see when you go outside Old Trafford, and there's the main statue outside is of the Trinity, and he's there. He's part of it, and The problem I have is, look, he played in 1962 to 1973. Now, there's not really, we can't really compare the eras, and that's where you start getting into a heavy debate about, can you really compare Denis Law to the likes of the modern footballers like Van Nistelrooy and the Andy Coles and Wayne Rooney's and stuff? Can you? Would he have been even better in the era? Because, you know, back in those days, there was no such thing as foul. You know, you'd get literally taken out. You'd get taken out, and the ref wouldn't even blow his whistle. It'd carry on because that was the rule or the law of the game at that point. No one gives a shit kind of thing. Yeah, you'd get taken out. So he came in my fourth spot. Then I've got another remarkable player, man. I mean, I must admit, I debated this for a long time. He was in my top two again, and this is, if I was being non-biased, by the way, he would be in second place. But because I am biased towards the striker in second, I've moved him down to third. But this guy, I love him. I love watching him. I love the way he was around United. I love the way he was just always the constant figure whilst Sir Alex Ferguson was there. And even after, third place, guys, goes to Bobby Charlton. Sir Bobby Charlton. I mean, what a guy. What a player. And even till this day, I mean, when I play EAFC, so any football game, and he's available as an icon in that game, and I love playing with him. I just think he's amazing. An amazing, amazing player, but not just a player. He's also amazing. He was amazing for United off the pitch as well. So seriously, this Sir Bobby Charlton, one of my favourite players. Of course, I knew quite a bit about him before, but again, I've had to go back into the archives, watch the goals he scored, everything he did. And I know, look, there's some younger fans out there, and I'm not gonna say, look, I'm not gonna pick on you, because yeah, Sir Bobby Charlton was before my era. Obviously, I didn't watch him play live or anything, but I just, having gone back and looked at what he did and his achievements with United, again, he won the Ballon d'Or twice as well, didn't he? Yeah, he's the second man to get his hands on the Ballon d'Or on this list, but Charlton went one better and won twice, yeah, with United. I mean, what a player! What a player! So again, someone who I look at and think, crazy, 249 goals for United, an absolute icon. And yeah, he had to be part of this list. There's lots of young fans who, when you ask them the top strikers, they obviously pull out the recent names, who played for United. But I had to include these guys because these guys are legends, man. These guys are legends of the club, and we have to recognise where we're coming from as a club, from where we've come from and where we're going. So if you forget where your roots are and where these players have come from and who United had in strike, you're not gonna know where to go. So you've got to give these guys credit where it was due. Okay, so let's go into the top two, man. Top two. This was such a hard choice for number two because, like I said, Denis Law sat there for some time. Van Nistelrooy was the first one who came into my top two. I thought it was easy. I thought, oh, this is easy. What's the debate about? Right, okay, Van Nistelrooy and number one player, and the other one, the other striker, and that's it. That's my strike force. But then I realised, whoa, this is difficult. This is why so many debates are had on who are the top two, and they can quite easily interchange and go into different players. But then my second player, I had to choose. You probably guessed it already, guys, if you haven't. Because, yeah, I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to just tell you. It's Eric Cantona, guys. Eric Cantona. You've seen the shirt at the back. You've seen everything. But it's a tricky one because immediately I didn't really think of Cantona as being a striker because he did play across the pitch, let's be honest. He wasn't just a striker. He was a different kind of player. He's a different kind of player. But it didn't just come down to his goal scoring. And that's where everything changed in the top five for me because it wasn't. First I just used the criteria of how many goals they scored and that's it. But then I actually put in other criterias like the charisma, what they brought to the team, what happened once they arrived. And I can safely say, look, when I first started supporting United, when I was a kid, this is my first memory of United, Eric Cantona. And what he did for United was put them back on the map again. He changed Sir Alex Ferguson's entire career. What he did was something that we can only dream of now, and hence why we're looking for a new Cantona. Ruben Amorim has alluded to the fact that he wants a Cantona, a maverick, someone who maybe not contributes in goals, but his aura, the way he carries the team, the way United played with Cantona was absolutely out of this world. The guy, and you can also argue that his career ended quite quickly. Obviously, he was a controversial player. You know if you know what he was like off the pitch, and still is. But Neville says the impact Cantona made on the squad at the time, his passion and his character, I feel, was a huge part of the identity United went on to develop, and I think he was the catalyst. Spot on, man. Spot on. I mean, you articulately, you've summed it up there, Neville. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I must admit, this wasn't easy, because I was like, Cantona wasn't my first choice. He sat there at the back, but when I started reading more behind the impact a player has had on the club, this guy kept coming up, and I kept ignoring it. I was like, no, I can't. Look, he's not scored enough goals. He's just simply he's not been like, look, he scored 82 goals in 185 appearances. I was like, but then when I started reading more, and you start reading about what he achieved with the team, because it is a team game. You can't just look at the strikers and think, right, it's just about scoring goals. 4 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, Premier League Player of the Year, 94, Best Forward of the Year, 1996. The list goes on and on. And this is what he was arriving to, a United team that really hadn't really started kicking off, hadn't started playing and winning. Yet then when this guy came is when everything clicked in and we started winning, and we couldn't stop winning. And we surpassed everyone when it came to Premier League titles. Sir Alex Ferguson became the manager he was, having bought this guy. And look, you only have to go far back as speaking to Sir Alex Ferguson himself and saying, name some of your biggest signings. And he goes back to Eric Cantona. If you read some of his books, he always, I mean, when he speaks of Eric Cantona, he's a different guy. He's a different manager. Speaking of Eric Cantona, he just loads him up. He loves everything about him. Neville says Cantona with that collar was the definition of all. Yeah, man, honestly. That I remember very early on watching one of the goals he scored, and it's iconic because I think they replay that moment again and again. I don't know who it was against, but he scores the goal, turns around, puts his collar up, and just stands there and just looks over at everybody. Just absolute vibes, man. I mean, I was watching that, and even now when I watch that, it sends shivers down my back. I love it. I absolutely love what he did for United and the way he just carried himself. And it was just like one of those guys that you think, shit, you have one Cantona in your team and you're sorted. This actually is it falls into tomorrow's show as well with the midfielders, because that's going to surprise you as well, because some of the choices I've made, I've not gone with your standard midfielder who might have contributed a lot. It's all to do with how they represented the team and how the other players felt around Cantona. And if you read any of the like interviews and go in and hear what other players, other teammates said about Cantona, and it just explains everything. All of them said the same thing, which was this guy just was something different. the way he was like in the dressing room, the way he was like on the pitch. It was like he knew something that they didn't know. It would be a crazy game that they'd be going into, whether it's an FA Cup final or wherever. And Cantona would just be like, yeah, this is nothing. This is nothing. We're going to win. And he'd just carry himself in that way, and that would breed confidence in to the rest of the players. Anyway, guys, the moment we've all been waiting for, surely the number one striker, the top two striker, and I think you've guessed it already. I mean, it's such an easy choice. I didn't realise how easy it was. But it's clear. Wayne Rooney. Wazza. The guy who just took the Premier League by storm. Now, I have been watching the documentary on Wayne Rooney. A couple of weeks ago, I started watching it. I've not finished all of it. It's on Prime. If you plug in Amazon Prime again. So if you haven't watched it, go and check it out. Maybe you can see it online as well. Anyway, it just highlights how good this guy was. Coming in from Everton as a teenager, a kid. The best thing United ever did. The best thing, with the moment we signed him. I think it was the World Cup had just finished. I remember watching him in the World Cup thinking, oh my God, this kid is wicked. This guy is wicked. Yeah, he's just amazing, amazing. And I was like, oh, only if he played for United. And there was all these clubs after him. And then boom, the Premier League season kicks in and we've signed him. Breaking news. And it wasn't like we get breaking news right now where, we find out months before that United are making an offer and they're planning to make an offer. It was different. It was a different era. And we'd get like the news out of nowhere. And the news came out. United, boom, they've signed Wayne Rooney from Everton. And that's it. You see his press conference and you think, wow, what a signing. But I still remember, and till this day, I was pretty young. I remember watching his debut. I don't know about any of you guys, if you've ever, I watched it live, but not live, you know what I mean? I wasn't there at Old Trafford, but I watched it on the TV. And I was completely shocked with his debut. Absolutely crazy. So let's just go through a few stats actually of Wayne Rooney before I kind of wax lyrical about Wayne Rooney. Let me just go through what he did. So Wayne Rooney, he's Manchester United's all-time top scorer. I mean, yeah, that just says it all, right? So he was obviously going to be number one. He scored 253 goals in 559 appearances. Amazing. Premier League goals, he scored 183 Premier League goals. 5 Premier League titles, guys. Champions League winner. Europa League winner. He basically won everything that was available at the flipping time. And then he was just crazy, man. Crazy good. He's just elite level. His longevity as well. There's lots of things I was considering. I looked through at the important impact he made, what he did for his teammates. He was just top. But not only that, guys. I remember that this guy didn't even play strike half the time. Half the time he'd be playing out of position. He would be playing out of position for United because Sir Alex Ferguson would get him and say, right, you're doing a job. You're doing a defensive job. You're playing here. You're playing there. He was being played and made to do a job that many top strikers of his level would have said, screw you, I'm not doing that. I'm selfish. I'm gonna go and play strike, and that's it. I want to be breaking records. I want to be going and making sure I'm the all-time Premier League top scorer and things like that. But did he do that? No, he didn't, man. This guy played for the badge. Absolute legend of a player. And that's what it came down to. It came down to me. I was looking at it and I was thinking, the top 5 actually were all top players. But when you look at someone who gave everything for the badge and for the club, I think Wayne Rooney epitomizes that. Absolutely gave 110% to the club. Gave everything. He left everything out on the pitch. And you get to hear in that documentary, it gives you an insight to what he did, man. He would play through pain. He wouldn't care. He would go out there and give everything. Not anywhere near like these modern footballers you get nowadays. But of course, I remember those magical moments. The overhead kick against Man City. Oh man. Oh guys. I was watching it live, by the way. Yeah. Blew you away, didn't it? It blew you away. What a flipping goal, man. And what a time to score in a derby. I think that's going to be remembered for many, many years to come. I just hope that the future generations can understand how good this guy was. I now sometimes when I speak to younger fans and they're like, yeah, Wayne Rooney is the icon on the game, and was he good? And in fact, I think they've done him injustice in the game. He's a lot better than he is in the game, on his stats and stuff. And I start going on about how good Rooney was, and I was explaining to these kids, I was like, Wayne Rooney was absolutely insane, and he's a lot better than even what they remember him like. That's how good he was. What can I say, man? He scored 6 Premier League hat-tricks. 6. He's got 142 assists on top of these goals, by the way, guys. And I was talking about his debut. He scored a hat-trick, didn't he? Scored a hat-trick in the Champions League. I can't remember which team it was. I think it was Fenerbahce. I can't remember. Yeah, Rooney was our Yamal. Absolutely, man. He was crazy. In fact, I was watching the documentary, and then they speak to other footballers that were playing against him, and they speak to the French players who were playing against him in the World Cup. And Fenerbahce, it was Fenerbahce. Yeah, all right, okay, good. I was thinking, I'm sure it was Fenerbahce. And they speak to Thierry Henry, and Thierry Henry was like, shit, this guy scared us. This kid coming through was built like a tank, just didn't give you any time on the ball. He didn't respect anybody, didn't care who you were, what you had done previously. He was there, and he was coming to take over. He was there to take your lunch money. You know what I mean? Proper bully on the pitch, and he wasn't going to take any prisoners. And I loved that. I loved it. I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is it. This is what we need. This is what we're missing in the modern Man United team. We're missing Wayne Rooney's. We're missing the likes of these kind of players who just do not give a crap. They're not there to shake hands and smile and, exchange flipping shirts at the end of the game and chat about how nice everything is and, oh, I'm friends with the opposition players and, oh, we chill out together. Nah, he's the type of player who used to leave on the side. I don't give a shit what you were before you stepped on this pitch, but right now, I'm going to take you down. That's what his attitude was. And he wasn't there to make friends. I love that about these kind of players and these classic top United players. It won't be a surprise to you that there's not going to be many players from this new United that we've got in the recent years that are going to feature in my top 11. And that's unfortunate, but that's being honest, guys. I'm being honest with you guys, and I'm sure you would agree, and I'm sure you would say the same thing. There isn't, and that's where I was a bit upset by it as well, because I was like, shit, doesn't bode well for United going forward if we can't pick someone right now and say, look, this kid or this person at United is going to be or is a future great or something. It's unfortunate, but who knows? There might be a time that these players, there's one or two at this current team that could turn around and become iconic and legends of the club. There's talk about, obviously, Mavericks like Kuna, becoming a Cantona, and who knows? Maybe he can. And Boomer's had a great start. Ahmad as well. Can he become someone? Sesko as well. We've got these kind of players that they can go. They're early in their career, but you just hope that they take a leaf out of these kind of players, Wayne Rooney's and the likes. So that was my top 5, guys. That was my top 5, but obviously my top 2, Wayne Rooney and Eric Cantona, leading the strike line. But I must admit, I'm still teetering on who I would have in my second place. I've put down Cantona, but I could quite easily go with Van Nistelrooy or Dennis Law or Charlton. In fact, it's a scary thought even thinking about Rooney and Charlton being the two strikers, the two short, stocky type of strikers, just causing absolute havoc for defences. Absolutely. Neville says Kuna and Mbeumo and De Ligt are great signings in terms of that old mentality, or as close as you can get in the modern age. Roy Keane, of course, was the most notorious. Laugh my ass off. Mate, Roy Keane, I don't want to give it a lot away, but as a teaser for tomorrow, and midfield and who I've chosen. But for me, Roy Keane is my all-time greatest Man United player. There you go. I've said it. I know I've got Cantona at the back, but for me, if I was to pick one player throughout my entire United, time of being a United fan, if there's one player that I would look at and think, this guy sums up how I want United to play, it is Roy Keane, guys. It is Roy Keane. I just love it. I just love the way he was. No nonsense type of player. And of course, he's Irish. That gives him a thumbs up as well. I love the Irish, by the way. So anyone who's Irish, big up to you guys as well. Ahmad has a phenomenal mentality as well. Yeah, Ahmad's great. I look at him and think he's got what it takes to be a great. Whether he's going to be iconic for United, I don't know. Hopefully he can. I know. Sorry, he isn't a striker, and we are agreed. He's all-time favourite as well. Always Keane. He was United. Yeah, man. I mean, Keane is just something else. But I'm gonna go. I'll discuss that tomorrow with you guys. But I'm gonna leave it there, guys. Neville, what was your two then? Your two was Rooney and Cantona, or would you choose someone else in place of Cantona? Because I'm torn. I'm gonna admit, even now, even doing the show, I'm not sure. I still think, I'd take Charlton. But Law can do this, and then I'm thinking, yeah, but if you want an out-and-out striker who scores, who's going to get you the goals, just complete an out-and-out ruthless finisher, Van Nistelrooy surely ticks those boxes as well. So it's so difficult. But the reason why I went with Cantona is just what he brings to the team in its entirety, and the aura. And I was thinking, if he was playing in this modern era right now, oh my God, would he be a top striker? I mean, what he would bring to the team would be insane. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'm going to be back tomorrow with the midfield top 4 midfielders of all time for Man United. It's going to be a top show, that one as well, because again, it's not easy. Just because we've got 4 positions to fill, it's not going to be easy because there's so many top players, and I've got some stories to tell as well, so make sure you tune into that. Neville says Rooney and Bruno. Is Bruno cheating? I didn't go back as far as you, so I had Rooney and Robin Van Nistelrooy, or Rooney and Bruno. Honourable mention to Van Persie. Wish he kept him longer. Oh yeah, Van Persie. There's so many players. In fact, my list, it was this. I'll give you my list before I go. So my list, I had all compiled. Yeah, I was like, right, okay, I remember these guys as top players. And look, this is my short list. So this was my short list, and I had to kind of dwindle it down. So I had Dwight York on there, I had Teddy Sheringham on there, I had Mark Hughes on there. I remember Mark Hughes as well, prolific striker. I was really, really young, but I remember just watching this guy thinking, this guy's sick. Mark Hughes, yeah? If you remember who he is. Then there's Andy Cole as well. Absolute sensation. Remember when we signed him again from Newcastle, I think it was. And the guy was, goal-scoring machine. Again, top player. Then who else have I got? And then it's obviously Van Nistelrooy and the other likes. There was Van Persie in there as well. That goal he scored against Villa. I mean, who will forget that goal? absolutely amazing goal. Van Persie scored more than twice a game in his stint with us. Some iconic clutch goals. Louis Saha, Andy Cole were ones I considered too. Yeah, absolutely, man. Neville, agree with everyone that you mentioned there. I've kind of went through all of these names as well, and yeah, I was. Imagine if we had Van Persie in his peak. You got to argue that Van Persie was there near the end of his career, but still, shining. But then there's loads and loads of other strikers that are all in the mix that you could throw in there and say, shit, this guy was wicked. Louis Saha, who, I mean, again, a top striker. He got riddled with injuries and stuff, but again, someone who came in and. What about Berbatov as well? I mean, the list goes on, doesn't it? The Berbatov, the class that he had, the touch, the finesse. Oh, sick, man. Honestly, it goes on and on. We could, again, debate this for a long time. And the more we sit and the more we discuss, the more players that we come to mind and think, oh, my God, there's so many top players. But for me, Rooney is way ahead of everyone. Absolute class. Joint 2 or second, obviously, was Cantona, Charlton, Law, and Ruud van Nistelrooy. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. I want to thank you, everybody who's joined in on the live stream. Anyone watching later on, drop your comments below. Let me know who your top 2 strikers would be and why. Let me know why, because I just don't want just the names. I want to know what you feel behind putting them names down and why you feel these 2 strikers, whoever they are your best pairing for the United's greatest ever. Thank you very much, guys. Take care. I'll see you again tomorrow with the midfielders.